There's counters, there's strategy, there's more than just mana.
Yeah, dog, no other series that's been power scaled to death has strategy in it. I'm sorry, Naruto who? Jujutsu what? Hunter who?
I think it directly misses the point of the magic system. Not to mention the characters or, the plot.
What happened to this not being a personal attack, by the way?
Frieren's magic system has nuance.
Damn, really? Well, maybe you should get some. It might make for a better video. Long time no talk. Let's cut to the chase. Comfy Lilin, a channel that often talks about the Frieren anime, made a video called You Can't Power Scale Frieren, or something along those lines, which I reacted to on my stream, Kaiser vs. the World. This video was kinda interesting. Like alcohol poisoning. So I decided to make a video about this as opposed to making you watch my long stream about it. No harassing this guy, by the way. We play nice in this house. The reason this video in particular caught my eye isn't just because it's about Frieren, since I'm no stranger to that already. It's about the fact that Lilin is among the long list of people who talk shit about power scaling without understanding power scaling. Enjoy!
Power scaling is stupid, and power scaling these characters, trying to power scale my favorite depressed elf show, that's really stupid. Not a personal attack or anything.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
But I do not get attempts to power scale Frieren.
When I'm approached by something I don't understand, I usually just talk to someone who does. I don't make a whole ass video about something I don't get. But hey, it's your channel, you're a big boy, let's keep it going.
To line these mages up and attach arbitrary power to them to determine who is the strongest, when you can't really power scale, I think it directly misses the point of the magic system. Not to mention the characters or, the plot.
Have you talked to a power scaler before? Have you asked them why they do it or what's the appeal about it? You can find these fuckers anywhere, whether it be Reddit, Twitter, versus BattleWiki, or even on YouTube. Most of these people are pretty damn reasonable, especially if they're in drinking age. What happened to this not being a personal attack, by the way? Because personally, if I got told that the fun way I'm engaging with the story means I missed the point of the characters and the plot, I would feel kind of insulted right now. Personally, I wouldn't take that disrespect.
Others that break all laws of conventional comparisons, you can't power scale Frieren, and I have supporting arguments and all that other stuff to prove it. Starting that Frieren doesn't have 1v1 fair fights.
Supporting evidence, by the way. Supporting evidence. Moving on.
The magic system in Frieren is somehow both more complicated and simpler than something that can be power scaled. Mainly because it's not about numbers or even really getting stronger.
What a coincidence, because power scaling isn't a numbers game either. But don't worry, your pal Kaiser's over here going to give you the talk. You know the one. The Gokus and the Supermans. What'd you think I was talking about? Power scaling is comparing the overall abilities between two or more characters, typically to see who would win in a fight. People who do this separate various attributes into categories. Those categories goes as thus: strength, agility, equipment, durability, attack potency, reaction speed, resistances, weaknesses, stamina, skill, experience, battle IQ, and of course, hacks. People try to scale these abilities through the feats that are demonstrated by the characters or through statements that are consistent and validated by the narrative. This is what we call inverse scaling, comparing two characters from the same story. The only times people use numbers to judge a character's stats is when comparing combatants of two different shows, death battle style. If I, for example, want to prove that Mega Man X can wombo combo every character in Ruby 10 times over, Yeah, I'm gonna need the numbers to prove it since they're from two different stories. But when comparing two characters within the same story, you don't need to do that. So congratulations, that's Power Scaling 101, you get the basics. And this is something you can easily figure out by watching a single video on the subject. But for the rest of this video, Lilin is going to completely get this shit wrong. This guy, over and over again, is going to say, oh, but power scaling is about the numbers, and Frieren isn't about that, and my brain dies. And now, he doesn't have to die alone. You'll thank me later.
It's about the plot and characters.
What story, even a shonen battle series, doesn't this apply to?
It's simpler than systems with complex rules governing them, since magic is used in a much more flexible way by those with strong visualization.
Yeah, the series has a relatively soft magic system, but that doesn't mean you cannot scale the character's abilities and determine who's better at doing what. Ubel herself admitted that she could not imagine beating Denkin or Werbel one-on-one.
Yes, I'm a third-class mage, and yes, I am lacking in experience. Both Denkin and Werbel could beat me to a pulp. But I'm confident that I can take down Zenza.
Yet, she was able to beat Sense's clone due to having a spell that is basically her kryptonite. This doesn't prove that there is no power scaling, it's just that the system lends itself to a bit more leeway compared to other ones. My question is, what power scaler disagrees with this? Think of even the most popular YouTubers to have ever done this. Who the fuck disagrees with this? Hell, even touch on the guy who actively power scales Frieren. The math ain't mathin', dog.
More complex since fights have more room for actual creativity, not just comparing numbers.
Seriously, what fucking math class traumatized you this much?
This isn't the type of story where we get 1v1 fights, that Goku, Vegeta, Fox only type duels. It's a story where the party has already taken down the big bad, and then they have to leg it away from some random monster. So does this mean a random monster scales above the Demon King?
Depends on the context. The Demon Lord fight was a collective effort, bringing together some of the strongest and most capable people on the continent to defeat them, something that they clearly couldn't do alone. However, it's also established that monsters in Frieren can have a variety of abilities that may make it difficult for the characters to take on alone as well. The problem here is that Lilin is stating the obvious and acting like because the story isn't like Dragon Ball, that there is no power scale. That is not how that works.
You can't really directly compare everyone 1v1 without making far too many assumptions. It's more nuanced, and we can't do a ranking that says Serie is stronger than Kraft based on some random feat. Because what are we assuming from that fight? That's the two of them in a wasteland, in a very specific set of circumstances.
Do you just not know what a hypothetical is? Yeah, coming up with a theoretical scenario where both characters, with all the feats and abilities we know about, encounter each other in a neutral space where there aren't distractions is just a giant-ass theory. Why is that a bad thing? That's how fan theories work. Secondly, if you talk to a good faith power scaler and ask them who would win between Serie and Kraft, they tell you they have no fucking idea. We have a lot of feats and statements to scale Serie on some level, but we have nothing for Kraft other than him beating up a few thugs Ubel could have killed anyway. If you were to put a gun to my head, I would just say that since Serie has more demonstrable feats, statements, and abilities we know about, Kraft would by default just likely lose in anything other than an arm wrestling match or some shit like that, whatever the fuck he does. But see, that's me being good faith, which is the opposite of what this video is.
If we measured up Frieren v Serie, who is the strongest? Who's the strongest mage? Well, we're assuming so much that it's essentially fan fiction.
I repeat my earlier statement. Do you just not know what a fan theory is, or what's the point of this shit? You're sitting here saying that because all of this stuff is theoretical, that means it's dumb and a lower form of engaging with the story somehow. But nah, it's not personal attack or anything, get over it.
Yeah, we can probably say Serie would win. She views magic as a tool, and Frieren's view of it is much more fun in the current day. But a 1v1 fight? Do we know Frieren can't pull something dirty and win anyway? Her whole thing is pulling some something dirty to win anyway.
Well, if you actually talked to a power scaler or even watched a single video, battle IQ is one of the attributes that can be scaled in the versus matchup. There's an entire genre of YouTube videos about people trying to see who could solve the Kira case from Death Note, for example. But let's go even further and actually answer this question, shall we? Manga spoilers, by the way. Here's the play-by-play. In the manga, there's a demon named Macht, who has been stated to be the most powerful of the Demon Lord's personal guard. In a flashback involving Frieren analyzing Macht's memories, magic bullshit, don't worry about it, we see Serie fight Macht one-on-one. Serie's mana concealment was so refined, Macht couldn't even detect her before she was even behind him. Despite the fact that his mana detection grows with the range, he turns the city to gold, which is his main power, by the way. She utilizes the perfect spells to counter Macht's offenses from the get-go, like an anti-curse spell that reflects Macht's transmutation and even deconstructs his magic constructs. The point is that Serie was fairly confident that she would be able to kill Macht 1v1. The only reason why she didn't when they swapped hands was that the rest of the Magic Association feared that by doing so, the curse Macht put upon the town would last forever, condemning all of the civilians. Let me break it down in case it wasn't clear. The Magic Association was so sure Serie would kill Macht that they couldn't risk her killing him before they could break the curse. Hell, she could have one-shotted him right when she felt like it at the very beginning, but just chose not to. Meanwhile, neither Frieren, after meeting him, nor Denkin, who had known Macht for decades, could think of beating him 1v1 with any dirty tricks, and basically sell for jumping in. Jujutsu would be so proud. So, there you go. We can assume that Serie is at least a slightly better tactician than Frieren. That would make sense, given how Serie believes that magic is fundamentally a tool for killing, so it would only make sense that she would know more about ways to kill someone like Frieren with magic. And given how she's literally called the living grimoire, knowing every spell in the book and rewrites it herself, smart money says that Serie wins at least in this category. It's a logical assumption based on what the story gave us. Even without the stuff that the manga goes into detail about, it would be kind of stupid for the show to hype up how powerful and knowledgeable Serie is, only for her to not live up to any of it by being drastically weaker than Frieren or something. Anime does this shit all the time. This isn't brain science or rocket surgery. Sorry, have to insert this line here in the script because I didn't originally write it, but this is very, very important. Yeah, who taught Frieren everything she knew? Right, Flom. And who taught Flom everything she knew? Yeah, like I thought.
A 1v1 fight where everyone is just fighting head-to-head to measure strength, it's fan fiction. I'm sure there's some 1v1 ideas that you could all think of that are interesting, but it's not usually how action happens in the series. It's never a basic, fair fight. There's counters, there's strategy, there's more than just mana.
Yeah, dog, no other series that's been power scaled to death has strategy in it. I'm sorry, Naruto who? Jujutsu what? Hunter who?
I think there's a tendency to try and put everything into this objective numbers-based system where plots are simplistic and it just comes down to pulling a higher number to giving everyone a score and letting that measurement define a world.
Ooh, are you gonna give examples of people doing exactly that? No? Well, I guess it's that time again.
If you're trying to power scale Frieren with the strength of spells, it just doesn't work. Zoltrak's a good example. In the opening arc, when an unfrozen Quall wakes up and finds out he's been power crept, but not in the mana level kind of way. People thought about his trick quite a bit, and then they figured out how it worked and how to work around it way.
Yes, but power is still a factor. The barriers used by mages in Frieren involve attuning to the magic energy of opposing spells, essentially to disperse them. However, in the same scene this guy is talking about, they literally say that the defense spell requires a shit ton of mana to use.
Defensive magic is powerful, but it rapidly depletes your mana. Maintain defense over a large area, and you'll exhaust your supply in seconds.
Meaning that the best option is to cast it in select locations at the precise moment of impact.
Exactly.
Plus, there have been countless times when these very same barriers have been broken through concentrated magic attacks. As I said, power is a factor. Seriously, dude, watch a single no operator video. Watch a single video on power scaling. Give them more credit than this.
Frieren's magic system has nuance.
Damn, really? Well, maybe you should get some. It might make for a better video. He then says a bunch of bullshit repeating similar points about how can X character scale here, and basically saying that because Frieren's power system isn't solely reliant on strength, you can't power scale it at all, as if the community that scales JoJo and Hunter x Hunter don't exist. And of course, all of this is couched in this outdated definition of what power scaling is. So we're skipping all of that because unlike Lilin, I actually value your fucking time. But while we're here, I just want to sit here and ask, why are you so repulsed by the idea of Frieren doing something as basic as power scaling? If anything, it's basic storytelling. Hear me out. You can't just have the characters win just because. It needs to be backed by believable rules and elements within the story itself. Otherwise, what are the stakes? Why should I care who wins or loses when the rules don't matter? This is the problem with Lilin and other power scaling naysayers on YouTube. They don't understand how vital a concept it is within a story or how fun it can be in fan discussion. Sure, writers don't have to go into as much detail about why character A beats character B, but they have to at least think about it for more than 2 seconds. And if other people want to do that, then what's the harm? Just because power scaling doesn't matter to you does not mean it doesn't matter at all. Just say you don't enjoy this hobby and move the fuck on. Stop dragging down other people's fun.
Act like chucking a key blast at someone. A mage with much more mana can be stopped through thoughtful tactics, as we found out when we saw Frieren up against a power scaler. Aura is kind of a power scaler. She's constantly taking the feats of Superman and trying to compare them to the achievements of some characters and some random shonen. Well, I mean, I assume that's how she spends her downtime, that and eating the apples. Not a personal attack or anything.
So that was a fucking lie.
But she does look at power levels and judges entirely based on that. It tells her all she needs to know. Aura has a magical technique using scales where she weighs the mana of her and of an opponent, giving whoever loses control. Literally, she does power ranking nonsense in real time. So in theory, it's a fight where higher mana would be the be-all and end-all, but Aura is absolutely full of hubris because it's a terrible, terrible way to fight. Suppressed mana tricks her. Her ability alone only seems to have kept her safe because it's set up to defend against being rushed by a different kind of fighter. Yet it doesn't work out for her. Frieren points out if Aura had used more interesting tactics, she would have had a better chance, since fights are more than just mana.
Yes, but you keep ignoring that Frieren managed to win against Aura's spell partially because of how powerful her mana is. If anything, this reveals that mana can play a big factor when it comes to being a capable mage, and we see that play a factor at other points in the series. Frieren is both tactically smart and extremely powerful. That's how she won. Any power scaler worth their salt would tell you the same shit. Her trick would not have worked if there hadn't been a power gap that she actively hid. There are even spells in Frieren that have been stated to require a shit ton of mana to use. So it's not just a showcase of how much someone has trained, it can fulfill meaningful requirements for powerful and even versatile spells. Why would they hype up Serie's sheer amount of mana volume, or even Frieren's, when actually, JK lol, that doesn't actually matter?
Between this and being shown that mana doesn't decide fights, surely this should be enough to understand we can't just directly compare numbers in this context.
Correct, which is why no one's doing that. It's so great, isn't it, not needing to fight people who don't exist?
Ulbo is kind of an anti-power scaler. Her abilities come purely from visualization, from imagining things. How do you quantify that?
You mean give it a number? Well, no, obviously you can't. But can you theorize a limit? Well, as a great man once said, yes we can. Ubel's imagination has to have some kind of limit. Otherwise she wouldn't have lost a Warble or even had a tough time in other parts of the mage exams. She even outright stated that Denkin can beat her. Ubel might have a lot of potential in Hack's abilities, but there are clearly limits to what she's able to do. As good as her slicing spell is, it clearly can't cut through everything. Or else she could just go through magic barriers and one-shot everyone, which means she cannot even imagine cutting through these barriers.
Then there's her fight with the instructor's clone in the second mage exam. I mean, how do you power scale that? Does it mean Ubel is stronger?
No, it just means that Ubel's spell is a hard counter to Sense's abilities. Are you going to sit here and tell me you've never seen a power scaler mention the concept of hacks or type advantages in fights?
Because Frieren is on a journey of human connection. It isn't about strength. I mean, who's the strongest? Is Frieren stronger than Serie?
Short answer, no. Can we go now?
What's strongest?
Okay, now you're just insulting me. You know what people mean by this. We're trying to figure out who can win against the other in a fight.
Because everything requires different skills, and even each individual fight requires different skills. It isn't as simple as one outright strongest rating.
Yes, but there's clearly a difference in aptitude in more areas between characters. Some combatants showcase better feats than others, and that's okay. Ubel may have better visualization skills, but she has not shown the same level of battle intellect, versatility in spells, or understanding of spell analysis as Frieren. So we can determine that she will likely lose that fight. No math required. And by the way, this isn't me saying that there is absolutely no way for Ubel to ever beat Frieren in any circumstance. Think of it like this, power scaling, especially when you're writing it in your story, like you're writing a story and you're determining how powerful or fast the characters are, that is a measure of how difficult a challenge should be. When I say Ubel shouldn't beat Frieren under normal circumstances, I mean mainly just one-on-one, right? With everything that we know about the characters so far. But there's nothing to say that, say in a future storyline, that Ubel can't gather a team of mages to fight Frieren for some reason. You can start an entire YouTube series called, hey, which group of mages would be able to beat Frieren in a fight? You know, that's interesting. It incites a whole lot of challenge and potential discussion and debate about that topic. And if you're not into that, I mean, that's perfectly fine, but that's definitely something that wouldn't be possible without power scaling. In fact, this exact thing happens in the fight between Frieren, Fern, and her clone. Fern has no business beating Frieren on her own. Just flat out, much less her clone that has way less inhibitions than the original. But because both the original Frieren and Fern worked together, and Fern took advantage of Frieren's specific weakness, that's how they won. And even then, they got their shit rocked that entire fight. And it gave us a glimpse of how incredibly powerful and capable Frieren is. So any future fight featuring her character would absolutely have to have a similar amount of challenge in order for it to be interesting or engaging to the audience. So power scaling isn't as limiting as you might think.
Frieren can't be power scaled in the traditional sense.
You know, there's something to be said about someone claiming things about traditions when they have no idea what they are. It's like a Nigerian lecturing the Jews about Hanukkah. It's fucking hilarious.
I think the intention comes down to wanting an objective ranking, one that's not based on opinion, to be able to say this is objectively right, and I am objectively right because of it. But you can't. This is inherently opinion. This has been my opinion, that power scaling Frieren is stupid.
Okay, Lilin, we're at the very end here, and I'm gonna cut this whole thing short and just give it to you straight. You're being a pretentious rat right now. You can't spend this entire video getting the basics of power scaling completely wrong, vague posting about people supposedly trying to assign numbers to characters and misunderstanding the story's themes, only just to turn around and say, oh, it's just my opinion. Your opinion is not worth dick, sir. Which makes sense, because you can't even stand on business or be confident in your own words. Then again, if I made this video, I wouldn't either. so it is what it is. I get it. There are people out there who take these online debates way too fucking seriously. Some people think they're the next swag Kage and use that as an excuse to shit on people or trivialize the works they talk about. It's nothing new. I've been watching power scaling videos since I was about like 14 years old. It's nothing I haven't seen before. But we can't just gatekeep an entire series from being power scaled or enjoyed a certain way just because some mouth-breathing assholes do it. The point is, you're no better than the people you're supposedly fighting against, projecting your opinion as right without any basic information just to shit on people enjoying the series a different way than you. Yet you have the nerve to hide behind subjectivity as if opinions can't be bullshit too. All of this for what? Just to prove that Frieren is somehow above power scaling when it's not? Because it's really not. And you know what? That's a good thing. The show has many themes relating to the value of human connection, the transient nature of life, the worth of experiences, the power of belief in things. But it doesn't just convey those in scenes where the characters talk each other. Because Frieren's a good show, it can convey these things in a variety of scenarios, including when the characters start fighting. So the fighting has to make sense. The characters' abilities and attributes need to be accounted for. The author needs to power scale.
Shut up, bitch!
Otherwise, anything can happen randomly to make the character win or lose, and that's really fucking boring. And by that same token, people who power scale are often fans of the shows they talk about and understand them narratively pretty damn well. They often use narrative themes and plot points to bolster their arguments for why a particular character is strong, skilled, or fast. It's fun because we have a story with an interesting system or set of characters and people want to test it out, experiment with it. You know, stress the limitations. You can power scale Frieren when you don't suck at it. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay. But everything in the story fits perfectly well in these potential discussions people have. It builds creativity, invites discussion/debate, and overall, it's just fucking fun. Frieren is already the most popular anime of the decade. You can give the series credit without making shit up. See you around. Thanks as always, people. Another day, another fun video. And we got more on the way. Like, comment, subscribe if you like what you see, want to share your thoughts, and want to see more. And if you're feeling real generous, support me on Patreon. For just $1 a month, y'all can jump onto my Discord server.
With blackjack and hookers.
I know, genius name, came up with it myself. And you can get shoutouts at the end of each new video, if you're into that sort of thing. You want to see some behind the scenes stuff too? Feel free to throw in some more. Stay tuned.